Hello there, this is Wild Rocket with you with a brand spanking new video from my apartment in Japan. Uh, I'm very happy and honored to finally be making this video because it's been something I've been wanting to do for quite a long time. And it's quite odd now hearing the sound of my own voice speaking in English because for most of the year, the context in which I've been speaking the English language has been in a classroom setting, for much of the time. And so it's quite interesting now to hear it in this context because I'm not going to talk about any of the things which I usually talk about in my school. I'm going to talk about, the things which are quite specific to the to health, to diet, to the universe, to being the best person that you possibly can be, and that's something. And really, when I talk about all of these things, I'm really only sharing sort of. I mean, I say only, but all these things are coming out from me because they are what I've experienced. So, in an attempt to inspire others, it's a case of trying to sort of live the example first and get beyond certain blocks. In my case, um, even though I've been on the health journey, on a spiritual journey, on a kind of healing journey for quite a while now, almost to 2 years in fact, in which since a major paradigm shift occurred in my consciousness, it's been 2 years. But really, really, it wasn't. There was really no. I say 2 years in consensus reality, but really, the deeper truth is that from even before I was born, even as a child, I'd always known intuitively and at a physical and cellular level what the profound truths of life were. It's just something that you kind of gravitate towards. It's just something that you kind of do when you lose yourself in the moment and you absorb yourself in the moment. That's been the kind of powerful thing. So I've always known what the truth is. I've always known what the truth is, and I've always felt what the truth is. But then, of course, feeling what something is in your body and knowing what's right, and then growing up, in a very complex society which is telling you many different things. You grow up exposed to school, to media, to friends, to family, to government, who are all telling you different things about how you should live your life and what the best way is. And all of that, of course, is valid and fun and exciting and essential, we can say, because without all of these things, the world as we know it would not exist. But at the same time, there is a kind of more profound and more deeper and more honest and more true way of being, and for everybody, that's gonna that's gonna come out a bit differently. It's gonna come out a bit differently, and I think ultimately, what it boils down to is just listening to your heart and listening to what you know is the truth beyond anything that any kind of anything that you've learned, any way that you have of articulating things in words, you know, anything you've been taught by your parents, anything you've been taught by school, anything you've been taught by media, by peer pressure, by you know, by basically our entire human experience. It's learning from that and taking inspiration from all of that is how we how we kind of make mistakes in life in trying to find what our truth is. And for me, it's been like really returning to the source. And by returning to the source and embracing myself and the kind of weird things or cool things that I like to do and that make me happy. um, by returning to the source, you actually develop, you actually progress, because then you realize that what the truth is for everyone is different, but what the truth is really starts from, you know, absorbing yourself in the present moment, absorbing yourself and loving yourself, you know, without any exception, and embracing every single part of you, you know. And for me, that's really what I'm trying to aspire to more and more. It's not been easy at all. You know, I'm here in Japan in very unique circumstances for me personally. You know, many firsts happened when I came here. The first time I am employed full time, first time I have major responsibilities to other people, first time I'm actually working in a context in which I'm, you know, kind of building someone else's vision of how the world should be, which is something I agreed to and was aware of before I agreed to it, but then my sense of adventure and daring, the prospect of going to Japan and having that carrot dangled above you, you know, well, yes, you know, you'll be working, yes, you'll have responsibilities, but you get to live in a new society, you'll get to learn a new language, you'll meet new people, new experience, you know, all of that is, you know, for a young soul who is starting anew. And before I came to Japan, I really was starting anew. You know, this was so tempting for me, you know, and even now, 10 months, you know, I'm now 10 months into my journey here. I have more than 10 months, in fact. I have 6 weeks exactly, almost exactly left. You know, that time is just flying by really quickly, and I really can't even, it's difficult for me to, it's very difficult for me to articulate in words, because I've been moving through a lot, I've been going through a lot. You know, for the first few months it was a constant high, and then after sort of things, you kind of get, as your understanding of society increase, as your understanding of the circumstances in which people work and how it is to work, you know, not to work as in working on yourself, on your vision, on building your passion, but working as in working out of a place of fear, because you're doing it because you've not yet built a vision or passion, but you've not yet articulated to yourself the passion of how to truly live in a meaningful way in this life, and to work in a context in which there are layers, you know, and there's a structure, but not a structure in a sense, in a motivational sense, in a sense of, okay, here's a way of doing things, this can help you. It's more like, here's a way of doing things, this is the way it's always been, this is how society runs, this is how we do things. And you know, as an awakened being, you know, it doesn't take long before you kind of transgress cultural and linguistic boundaries and begin to see kind of the illusory nature behind all of that, and how really working full time, making money and having responsibilities, doing that, you know, within a system which is not of your own making, it's all kind of fake, you know, it's not real, it's not the truth of what you are as an infinite compassionate being of infinite love and compassion. It's not, it's kind of like, you know, this is why lots of people call it the matrix, or the kind of like, or the grind, or what have you. You know, in past states of being, I would read about these things, and I'd never really worked before, so I'd always think, oh, okay, wow, that's how it's like. And you understand it on an intellectual level, but knowing it, and you're so, oh, this is how it's like to constantly do something that your heart is not invested in. You know, I really had fun for the first few months doing what I was doing, and I still have fun in the teaching side of it. I enjoy interacting with students, and I enjoy having that human exchange, but to do that because someone else is telling you to do it, you know, it just kind of defeats the purpose of what fun living should be, I think. And that, I think, is one of the most difficult realities to face. But I said I wasn't going to. I was going to try not to talk about work, but you know, when it's the only thing that you're doing almost all of the time, it kind of becomes intertwined in what's at the forefront of your mind. But really, I want to say that it is and continues to be an incredibly valuable experience, because I'm beginning to see, not just see, but feel at every level how precious it is, and how wonderful every human being is, and how everyone is a sort of individual born and placed here to achieve greatness, to achieve wonder, to achieve beauty, you know, to achieve, you know, to achieve what their heart knows to be true. You know, for me, I'm still practicing articulating, but for me, the truths are, you know, being passionate, serving others, working on myself in terms of my health, sharing that health journey with other people, learning languages and using language learning such as Japanese, such as my continued cultivation of my 2 native languages, English and Arabic, you know, 2 languages which I have a very mixed relationship with, in a good way and a not so good way, in a brilliant way, in a terrible way, and a beautiful way ultimately. You know, cultivating that and sharing that journey with others as a means to inspire others. I can think of no higher calling, you know. Participating in your community, surrounding yourself with people who are going through similar things in terms of like discovering the importance of following your building your dream and making that your lifestyle, and not just something you do for money, but something you do for because it brings you genuine joy. And that for me is something I'm still articulating and still making sense of, because after I'm done teaching here, anything I do, and I know this because, you know, I begin to have those palpitations of the heart again, which tell me that whatever you do after this, it has to be something that you would do even if you were not getting paid for it. It's something that you would be doing anyway, you know, and you'd have to be, you know, and for me that's clear, that's really clear now. Like my heart knows, and my heart knew it ever since I awoke 2 years ago. It's just a matter of visualizing it in the consensus reality, in terms of like putting a plan, putting it on paper, saying, okay, now I'm going to do this, I'm going to bring income in the short term by doing these things, but ultimately I'm building towards this vision. You know, let's say I want to start a health coaching business, which is something which would be really interesting to me. You know, I'm going to teach people how it, you know, what kind of things to eat, you know, how to live well, how to meditate, how to relieve tension, how to achieve more happiness and contentment. You know, doing that by kind of sharing your own journey and sharing the pitfalls and the kind of mistakes that you make, because I think people are really interested in that. People are really interested in knowing that you can fuck up, that you can make a mistake, and that's okay, and that you can keep making a mistake again and again and again, but each day you make mistakes differently, and they seem to impact you less because you always have this vision you're fixed on, and you're always kind of striving towards it. I think I'm learning that a lot, and I think I'm just learning how precious it is, how lovely, how how precious the emotions of happiness and love and contentment are. And to know that it's okay to be angry, to be sad, to be depressed, to have hateful feelings, to have angry feelings. In accepting those, you bring more love into your life. It doesn't diminish, it doesn't make the bad feelings go away in the sense that you're kind of denying them. It brings them to the forefront and makes those negative thoughts that everyone experiences, no matter how healthy they seem to be, bring them into the forefront. Accept them, embody them, let them manifest, let them be wherever they are in your body or in your mind. And by doing that, by taking that loving approach to every part of yourself, you just begin to get more enrichment. So this is a little bit about my spiritual journey in Japan, working full time as an English teacher, doing a job which, you know, is teaching me a lot, which, you know, is not something which I would do in any other circumstance than this. You know, I do love English, and I do love teaching English, kind of, you know, not really. It's not something which I would do in any other circumstance. I love teaching English really as a means to an end. You know, I like doing it because it gives me an opportunity to have human interactions with people who otherwise I would not have the chance to have human interactions with. But as someone who kind of knows that there are more higher ways of expressing oneself in terms of my native language, Arabic, in terms of Japanese, which is the best way to express yourself with the people there to make the deepest human connections. But, you know, coming here not knowing Japanese, English is of course a good intermediary, but that's just that. It's just an intermediary. It's just a means. English is just a means to an end. You know, it's a language, but then at the same time, English is unique in that it's the only language in the world that's really. It's the only language in the world that's really. It's really a tool to be used between people of different countries, because it's the only way we have to really understand one another. You know, when a German man goes to France, the German man can't speak French, the French man can't speak German. The way they communicate is in English, and the same is true when an Arab, such as myself, comes to Japan. You know, how does he communicate in English? Not to say that English doesn't have variances, dialect and jargon variances, but it's unique in that it's really kind of an intermediary. It's not the final stopping place, it's just the training ground. So it's not something which I would see myself doing for anything more than a year. Not because I don't like it or anything, it's just that to be stuck in that intermediary place because someone else tells you have to do that is, you know, is not the best way to be, but the best way for anyone to be is to follow your heart, to follow your passion, with that little inkling that your heart is telling you to go towards. That's where you want to go, and you want to be that, and you want to embody that truth that you know. And for everyone that's going to be different, you know. For me, it's just about being as loving and compassionate and as healthy and as productive and as inspiring as I can be, you know, to empower communities, to empower individuals, especially those who are hard done by, and to some extent or another we all are hard done by in this crazy grind. So I think we are all in need of that. I think empowering people for me is the ultimate truth. For everyone that will be a bit different in terms of how it manifests. Truth is one, but paths are many, you know. So that's my journey 10 months on. It's my first time making a video in a while. I've really enjoyed doing this. I've really missed it, and if it wasn't for the fact that I've been going through a lot and I've kind of felt myself stifled in a way, but to finally get over that speaking edge once again, that speaking block, feels amazing, and I really can't wait for this video to see the light of day. You know, even if just me and my mother watches it, that's enough. This has been Wild Rocket with you, 10 months in to Japan from a spiritual being's perspective. I have enjoyed every moment, and I will continue to enjoy every moment. Peace be with you. Goodbye. Only for now.